invite on stage our wonderful panelists, beginning with Ms. Tammy Tang, who is the Managing Director of Colliers, China. Please extend her a warm welcome. She has over 23 years of experience in the China real estate market, working in both developers, occupiers, and brokerage sides. And her expertise includes site selection, acquisition, disposition, and also portfolio strategy for occupiers, as well as development consulting, portfolio strategy, investment, project lease, and sales for developers as well as investors. Tammy has in-depth knowledge in real estate policy and market dynamics in the China market, providing real insight and value to her clients. Now, she acts as an advisor to mayors and also authorities on city development, economic development, and investment promotions as well. She is also active in training young talents in the real estate industry, helping the growth of the industry as a whole. Tammy Tang is ready, and I'm certain she will have a lot to share. Our next speaker is Mr. Nguyen Viet Hung, CEO of WeLand Vietnam. Please join us on stage. Now, WeLand Real Estate Business and Development was established in 2017, is now a leading real estate advisory firm providing strategic consulting services for real estate developers in Vietnam, such as business strategy, finance, restructure, financial, as well as technological solutions. With a diverse clientele of large-scale organizations, the company has developed over 40 projects, and Mr. Hung has a long list of notable achievements to his name, including being responsible for creating the first one-stop shop digital software in Vietnam, WeConnect, that connects all property developers directly to the end buyers, and we'll find out more about that during the discussion. Next, Mr. Seth Pan. Now, he's the real estate advisor at AIA Insurance Group, Myanmar. Please extend him a warm welcome as he makes his way to the stage. He has over 7 years of experience and is currently managing AIA's real estate expansion plan and local ESG initiatives. And previously, Seth worked as a specialist in Colliers International Brokerage Division in Myanmar, which was awarded Best Property Agency in Myanmar at the International Property Awards in 2020. Ms. Jenny Doolan, the Director of Global Business Development of LeadingRE. She's also here with us. A warm welcome to you. Now, she is responsible for expanding LeadingRE's footprint in Europe, the Middle East, and Asia as well. Jenny's exciting journey into the real estate sector began as an international business development manager for a luxury real estate developer based in Cyprus, where she has since established her permanent residence. Now, she is well-traveled and having lived and worked across Europe, Asia, as well as the Middle East, helping to build her extensive network of real estate professionals spanning the globe. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Our panelists are seated. Once again, a very, very warm welcome to all of you. Now, we have here panelists from diverse locations with experience in different countries. So we're going to start by getting an overview of market trends. So we'll start with you, Tammy. Colliers China now has been studying market trends for quite some time. Perhaps you can give us insight into how the market in your region is currently performing for your different stakeholders.
Right. I guess the market situation in China aroused a lot of interest globally. And I'm very honored to speak directly to represent what is really happening. Some people call it an economic downturn, some call it a structural change. As we more call it within China, a structural change plus an economic downturn. The way we understand real estate in the last 30, 40 years is going to change. A land economy driven local economic contribution is going to change. So, and in coupled with the economic downturn, so what we're seeing is there is a limited of demand. A lot of multinationals are rethinking their strategy in China. Supply is still on pipeline, but they are slowing down, obviously. So it looks like the future of China will not growing as much real estate square meter as before, as many square meter as before. And because there is an obvious limited demand in all sorts of space, be it home buyings, office, warehouses, and factories. Hotel is still strong, rental apartment is still strong because the normal population is changing the way of rethinking whether every single family or household will need an apartment to buy an apartment. So they're thinking, oh, maybe in the long strategy, we should all rent and spend more money in spending. So what we're seeing is a structural change plus an economic downturn where you see rents in all sorts of sectors dropping, like a good 10 to 30%. Cap rate obviously will be inflated given also the US interest rate is high. A lot of multinational in the investment side is rethinking their strategy. They're probably putting a lot of things on hold for the time being. And then you have limited domestic buyers. So all coupled together, I think the whole market is on a very slow wait-and-see mode, given a lot of value asset prices have dropped down probably 20-30% with very limited transaction in the market. So we're coming out of the cycle slowly and step by step. We're seeing situation better than last year, but we expect another couple more years until we can
sort of think on this upward trend. Truly appreciate that overview, and so that is the current situation, the trend in China. Let's now go over to Mr. Hung. Now, you're here representing, or you're here from Vietnam. If you can share with us, what's the market trend like in Vietnam? I understand that things have changed a lot over these past 2 years. If you could expand on that, please.
Yes, good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here to share with you some information about Vietnam real estate market. So, same as global world, so our real estate market also experienced a lot of difficulties and challenges over the past 2 years. When the price dropped significantly, and especially the liquidity going down hugely. So the liquidity was really the problem of Vietnam's real estate market. Because even the price going down, there's almost no transaction for a certain period of time. But in 2024, the market has recovered very strongly, especially in the segment for the real demand. So in Vietnam, the underlying fundamental is 100 million population. That means after 2 years with limited supply and the demands growing fast, especially with the urbanization in big cities. So people are waiting to buy for the real demands. So for the past 6 months, for example, in Hanoi, the price of apartments in the inner city areas increased on average 30%, 30%. So which is very, very, very high and very abnormal. So the recovery very strong, but only for the real demand sector. For the investment side, like for example in smaller cities or in the locations where people don't yet have demand for real living. So the momentum is still quite weak. So we don't yet see a lot of price increase or the liquidity improvement. Although our interest rate has dropped about half. So last year, the deposit rate in Vietnam is around 8 to 10%. Now it's about 4 to 5%, even lower than the USD. So that's very abnormal for the case of Vietnam. But the investment has not gained significantly. So we believe it's going to take a little bit time when the confidence of the market gets better. So it depends on the global market, also our local confidence of the buyers. So most of the people think next year will be a big year for the real estate market in Vietnam for the remaining areas. And my company, we focus more on the market for real demand. So the business is still stable and we are moving towards what we are doing.
Okay, so that's the market trends, an overview of China. We've covered Vietnam. Let's now go over to you, Seth,
yes.
From Myanmar.
Thanks, Patchari. So for Myanmar, we're dealing with a lot of price volatility. I was just talking to Olivier earlier today, and he owns an interior design company, right? So he actually bought solid gold for his company in their balance sheet just to hedge against it. And also, just to give you a little bit of context, Myanmar, we just opened our country a decade ago, and then things were looking pretty well until 2021. There's a big shift regarding our political climate change, and the economy was very affected by it. Also, now I think the hotel market, we used to have around 480 something hotels throughout the city, but now it's only close to 200. And when it comes to office, I mean, due to this economy, I think there's been a lot of retrenchment in service offices and co-working space. They're very trendy right now. And also for residential, I would say that the affordable housing segment is really making bank. I was just looking at CNBC yesterday, and one of our top real estate developers, they had a record sales for this year. And capital markets, I would say, is non-existent. I think LVMH recently sold their Belmont brand in Myanmar, and Capo sold Sedona hotels. And yeah, but retail market is doing really well. If you go to shopping centers, I think the foot traffic is there, and the occupancy will be like above 90%, I would say. And the retail mix would be mostly F&B, the restaurants, and mostly fashion shops. So even though, you know, I mean, people are sad and depressed in the country, at least they're making a fashion statement out of it. I don't know.
Okay, so lots of interesting information shared by all three speakers. Now, many of us, if not all of us, work with local clients, with the local market, but we're also penetrated into the regional, the global market. Jenny, LeadingRE, now you have a presence in over 70 different countries. Now, as an organization, how do you engage with your member firms?
Thank you for the question, and also for accommodating me during this section. When we discussed prior what kind of topics we would discuss, and the first question was going to be about the trends in your local market, I said, we work with 70 different markets. The stage will be mine all day if I talk about them, so thank you for accommodating us as well. But to answer your question, I think first of all I should probably give a little bit of a light introduction to what and who leading real estate companies of the world are. And we will call it from now on LeadingRE, because otherwise it again will extend us into a much longer period. So we've been established for over 61 years. We were founded in Chicago in 1963. We're a global membership organization and real estate network, and the home to the independent brokerages. So we currently have around 550 member firms in over 70 different countries, which roughly translates into about 4,900 offices and about 138,000 sales associates. So we have a great presence throughout the world in every region, and the types of companies that we partner with are well-established local experts with a global outlook. They've built a brand that they're proud of and have the in-depth knowledge of their local market, but they understand that to offer a comprehensive and all-inclusive service to their clients, they need to collaborate with a global brand and other firms around the world. So that's kind of where we come in and provide them with the tools, the connections, and the opportunities to connect with other firms around the world that they know and trust and share business. So how do we do that? How do we engage with our member firms to be able to support them in their local market and their global connections? We do that through a number of ways. We bring our members together 3 times per year minimum around the world. So we have an annual conference in Las Vegas, we have a global symposium in Europe and the Middle East, and we also hold a more smaller, low-key event here in Asia to bring our Asian members together. We have online and in-person gatherings as often as possible. So we host webinars. We have an educational institute, which is a platform in-house for our members that they can learn more about how to be focused globally, how to share referrals outbound. And first and foremost, as a company, we are a referral network. So last year alone, we shared over 19,000 referrals from member to member with around a 70% success closing rate. So in order to share referrals, however, the members need to know each other and trust each other, and that's what we need to concentrate on ensuring that they can do. We also engage with our members through the use of branding as well. So a member can leverage the use of co-branding with leading real estate companies of the world as much as they see to be relevant. But we provide them with PR materials, social media templates, we provide them with logos. They have apps where they can provide marketing materials. And last but not least, it would be impossible to apply a one-size-fits-all approach with our members. So we do have a consultation service that we provide to each and every member around the world. We have account managers in every region who will directly consult with each member to see what their goals are as a business and how we can help them to expand globally and build further connections within the network to give them more opportunities to share business.
Great stuff, thank you there. Now, coming back to you, Tammy, Colliers China also has a very global reach. Now, you and your team have worked on over 100 overseas projects. Can you please tell us about the dynamics of that? How does that all work?
Right, so Colliers is a company, we operate in 66 countries, right? So the way we're globalizing our clients, because there's obvious demand of Chinese company globalizing their business. So two very obvious reasons. One is that there's limited demand within China, and these companies to survive, and they have good products, good strategy, good services, and low cost of capital. They see themselves globalizing. So, from the very famous Huawei to the BYD to you name it, right? Alibaba, all these things. So it's an obvious trend. The second part is the geopolitical situation in China, trade tariffs and all this. So export from China is being restricted in many countries. So they need another manufacturing plants outside of China to continue their global business. So within these two very obvious trends, starting 4 or 5 years ago, we start helping our clients to land their footprint globally. The real dynamics is we not only work within Colliers, but also outside Colliers as well, because we don't cover every city in the world. We tend to go for the best player on the ground. But having said that, Colliers work on a decentralized and collaborative model. So when we export our client, we verify the strategy, we know what they want. Is it manufacturing, is it home buying, is it hotel or what, yeah? And we also help them to understand how to get the money approved to leave China. That's a very interesting point as well. We can take that offline. And within that, I guess we've already built up a culture within China among our own brokers and staff that we can help clients in various ways.
All right, now we're going to move away now from global reach and presence, but should you have any further questions, she's very open to further talks. Yes, so catch Tammy over lunch. I'm sure she will still be around, perhaps. But we're going to now talk about something that we brought up yesterday during the panel discussions, and that's ESG. Seth, this one is for you. Now, you're an expert in this. And I'm sure that the vast majority of our audience here, they're very familiar with ESG. But if you could kindly just tell us what it stands for, please, and what you and AIA are focused on achieving.
Right, so ESG is basically like a report card for corporate, right? And it's basically stands for environmental and social governance factor. So the investors, when they look at a company, they not only look at the company in a way on if they're making money or not, but they're also looking at in an angle saying that, okay, even though if they're making money, are they doing good for the world and are they being responsible, right? But for AIA, I mean, we're a very, very old company. We're like over 100 years old, right? But we're still hip. We're still in ESG, and we're still doing it. And we're serving people to live healthier, longer, better lives for so long. It's basically our legacy, and it's also our responsibility as an insurance group to help foster that type of initiative for the whole world as well. So we started checking our baseline in 2021, and in 2023 we are the first insurance company in Pan Asia to actually be certified from SBTI, which is basically Science-Based Target Initiatives, which is basically like gold standard for ESG, climate change reporting, right? And other than that, we also have over 30,000 employees which are trained for ESG. So I think 9 out of 10 employees in AIA are trained with ESG. And on top of that, we also make a commitment that every new building that AI is going to develop, it's going to be 100% green. So we'll be getting LEEDs, we're getting well certified and so on.
That's fantastic to hear. Very, very good to hear that you folks at AIA are very ESG focused. Staying with ESG, Mr. Hung, now I understand that Vietnam is very focused on growing, expanding, and having a green concept in mind, particularly ever since the outbreak, the pandemic. Can you please tell us more about the impact that has had on the development of Vietnam?
Yes.
Or in Vietnam?
So in Vietnam, we normally talk about ESG in the context of like industrial production or export. For the real estate market, it's still a new concept, and we talk more about the green concept, which is a small part of ESG only. But the COVID has really changed the way the real estate products have been developed in Vietnam over the past few years. So in the past, most of the consumers in Vietnam, when they buy the real estate, they focus more on like the economic factors, like the locations, the price, the yield, how much they get per year. And normally people focus on the location close to the cities where they can rent or convenient for the kids to go to school. But during the COVID and afterwards, things have changed, and we have a case of one very big developers in Vietnam called Eco Park. Some of you might have heard, or like they invested about 20 years for the green concept for big projects in the surrounding areas. And during the COVID time, probably they are one of the very few developers be able to sell very like quickly, and they have demands for the product. So, and after the COVID, like my company as a professional consultant in product development, we also focus on the green factors for the new projects, which we believe as a branding point, especially for the high-end segment. And we have observed that like now the customers, they are willing to travel a little bit further, but they can balance between the economic factors and how to live more like safely and more healthily. And that's going to be the trend in Vietnam. And for the developers, now they realize that for the land, if they want to get a big land bank, it's normally not in the city areas, but how to build the project more profitably. That should be based on the green concept and the ESG, so they can sell higher price at the same time meet the demand of the customers. So that's a good way. And we think the trend's going to happen like more visibly in Vietnam in the future.
Okay, so that's great to hear as well, that there is now a trend, a shift towards a greener, a healthier living lifestyle. Great to hear. Then let's move on to innovation then. This one is now for you, Tammy. Now you're personally at the forefront when it comes to business innovation. If you can give us some insight into what you're doing differently, inspire the members of our audience here.
Right, I would think under a very challenging market situation in the last few years, that's the best time for innovation. And in the good time, people are busy making money and they don't have time to innovate because money comes easy. But in the bad time, then people start thinking, what can I do differently, right? So at Colliers, because we run on a very enterprising and entrepreneurial culture, country by country, we are encouraged to do something different. I would say apart from the typical technology, sales and marketing, and all this adaptation of different like technological tools, the real innovation comes from changing business models. And that's the hardest part, right? You can buy technology and use them. But then buying the technology, but having the brokers and consultants to start using technology and giving up their traditional way of working is impossible, right? It takes forever. So the real innovation comes from normally the CEO will know, okay, this is the way to go, and we have to do that change. But then how do you cascade down to all the local offices or different teams to say, let's start doing something differently. So you really have to start from leading by example, right? You're the one doing it, and then you're actually micromanaging all the daily behavior so people start changing. So I would say, there's a lot of innovation we do. We're huge on social media within China because it worked. Whether we're 2B business or 2C business, there's only a fine line in between the both. We need more coverage to local markets and local entrepreneurs so we can help them globally. So on top of all that, the real dynamics, the real difficulty is how do you lead an organization to change? And I would say the real innovation is for me to change fast. And then micromanaging your daily behavior and activity and leading the brokers and the managers to change accordingly.
Okay, and what is this that I've been hearing, that you're rather active on social media? Please tell us.
So I have 500,000 followers on TikTok, the Chinese TikTok. We started 4 years ago during COVID because we need a new way of inspection. Because everything is locked down, we can't inspect a building. And for brokers, if you can't visit the building, you make no money, right? You can't transact. So we start using social media for live streaming. So differentiated by, different from using VRs and all the filming tools, live stream is real. And then you interact immediately with your potential clients. So we start doing that, and we get to start 4 years ago was a mixture of views, right? Oh, this is for teenagers. Tammy, you can't be doing that. And then obviously the views changed, and that was 4 years ago, right? The views changed to was, oh, it worked. Oh, we can do that too, and it's free, right? And then
giving Seth some ideas. He's sitting there attentively listening to you, and he's got this smile on his face. So please continue.
Right. There's good and bad, right? To start, my leadership wasn't really buying in until 6 months later they see the result. And then they start to learn, oh, can we do that here too, right? In different countries. So we start really coaching our counterparts. How does it work? When you're on live stream, what do you talk about? How do you avoid the sensitive words? How do you really show the property without being too boring? And how do you maximize your exposure and viewers by being professional and being social? That's a fine line too. If you talk like macroeconomic supply demand, no one's going to watch you, right? So is it being professional first or being social first? And how do you match that fine line between the two? And so far we have show real data to help our business locally. SOE share of voice among the major medias in China, among our competition, Colliers owns 35%, which is huge, right? Wow. And then we're supported by a lot of fans who like us. And then our website traffic is triple during the last 2 years. And WeChat, all these different social medias followers will triple within 2 years. And obviously, Jenny continues.
All right, so that's really interesting to know. Jenny, are you going to start your own TikTok now after hearing that? But there you go, and it's very interesting that it didn't really work out at the beginning, but I guess you really have to persevere. So 6 months. I believe you can catch Tammy between 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. on Sundays, right? So yeah, perhaps we'll see you there, and don't forget to send in the comments. So that was really inspirational. Let's go over to you now, Jenny. Can you tell me some of the things that your members are doing to elevate their global presence? And can you give us insight into anything you have seen that you found, wow, that's really impressive?
I find Tammy very impressive.
I do too. That's why I need to check her out in 2 days.
I deleted TikTok a while ago just because it was taking too much of my time.
Oh.
But I might be tempted to re-download it now just to watch. But yeah, I think one of the advantages really, and one of the most fortunate parts of being part of LeadingRE is that when we work with a lot of independent brokerages, although they're part of our global organisation, they continue to operate independently and they continue to grow their brand in however they wish to grow it. So we get to see a lot of variation and a lot of different kind of insights, which then they can share their knowledge with other members and they can benefit from that, different ideas and inspiration, which is great. So for sure, I see a lot of impressive marketing campaigns and different styles. One that kind of comes to mind recently was our members in New Zealand, Barfoot and Thompson, which I'm quite certain they've won many awards here on this stage also. Last year they celebrated their 100-year anniversary operating as an independent, family-owned business, which is such a huge, monumental achievement. And they went all out for a year. They had TV campaigns, black tie gala events, and it was a real song and dance about how they were celebrating their 100 years. And we watched their campaign and thought it was absolutely fantastic. It also coincided with our 60-year birthday, which was great. So we did some joint celebrations. But we then asked them to share with the rest of our members, our APAC members, how they achieved this success of 100 years in business. When there's so many global competitors, how did they hold on to their independence and their brand? How did they plan and strategize for their centenarian campaign, which was so successful and brought them so much more business that will no doubt bring them through another 100 years? We created a special one-off webinar with all of our APAC members, and we brought Barfoot and Thompson on, and they gave a really interesting insight to that. So we have a lot of different styles to approach them for global marketing and elevating their global presence. We have a member in Japan who solely focuses on outbound business, so he acts as like a buyer representative. So he can't just sit back in Japan with his website and wait for his clients to come to him and tell him where they want to go. He needs to go and learn about these markets and tell his clients where he thinks that they should go, his Japanese buyers. He must live on an aeroplane. I don't know what his air miles must be, but by now he must have visited almost all of our members in all of our countries. He goes there, he goes to learn about the markets, he goes to familiarise himself with the companies, and it might sound timely and it might sound costly, but it pays off. He's already closed multiple six-figure deals this year, including a 2.65 million referral from Japan into, and it was a commercial sale to one of our real estate members in the US, where we have a huge presence. So these kinds of this activity to generate global connections really works. Now, as LeadingRE, what we do to try and help and support them to do that is through the provision of, again, it goes back to our educational institute, which is very much focused on global outlook, sales and marketing skills. We have our webinars with the useful insights, the marketing materials, and we also have very strategically focused marketing programs and initiatives to help our members to win listings and grow their portfolio in a certain direction. So if we have a member who predominantly is focused or interested in building their luxury real estate listings and becoming a luxury real estate market, then we have our own Luxury Portfolio International, which is a platform and high quality magazine which is solely focused at properties over $1 million US. And we've got some amazing success stories that have come out of that. I mean, we had a client in Cleveland, Ohio. He had a beautiful stately home of $28 million US. It was out of this world, very unique property, and he wanted to do something special, or his broker wanted to do something special to promote this. So he spoke with the Luxury Portfolio team. They managed to secure him a PR feature in Wall Street Journal prior to it being live on the MLS sites. This feature was then spotted in Australia by an American expat who was living in Australia but thinking of relocating back to Ohio, where he was from. He spotted the listing in Wall Street Journal. He contacted his brother. His brother contacted the real estate company, our member in the US. They went and did a viewing, and he bought the property. So it really is a global reach, and I think it's really just about putting your efforts into the right programs and directions that you want to focus on.
Jenny, you've seen so much, experienced so much, you're so well traveled, she comes with so many inspiring stories. You might want to stop and chit chat with her during the break. Thank you for sharing. Now, Mr. Hung, you also join us with colorful credentials. And as I mentioned in the introduction, you have this digital software that you developed that connects the developers with the end buyers. Please, can you share with us more on this? Give us insight into the impact that this is having.
So, as Tammy already shared with you in the previous conversation, so same as in Vietnam, we were in the same situation. So the COVID was a big challenge for us. So by that time, as a professional service company, we had two options. Or we did nothing, just staying there, waiting, and we might be dead. Or we have to change ourselves. And under that situation, we had no choice but to innovate. So by that time, it was very difficult for us to meet the developers and how to connect the developers to the buyers, because we even could not go outside. So we took 2 steps to develop the solution. So previously in Vietnam, technology was not very popular for the real estate segment. By that time, the first step we did was we tried to connect the sales force to the developers first, because the sales force, they have connections with the buyers, the end users. But in order for the sales force to sell, they need to get trainings. They need to understand about the project and the products. And that's not simple, because the general software like Microsoft Teams or Zoom, they're for general use only. We needed something more specifically and more customized. So we developed our WeConnect software, where we put a lot of training materials inside with the ability to review, and most importantly was ability to test the sales force after they they see all the materials. So we were very successful in connecting about thousands of salesmen to the platform. And then from that perspective to connect the buyers. And we were surviving during the pandemic. And the next step we were trying to do was to connect the developers directly to the buyers. So now in Vietnam, after the COVID time, many top developers, they have been doing so. So they have been able to develop the software with the online capability to present the projects directly to the buyers. And in the past, Vietnam was we were not familiar with this practice, because real estate products very unique and very high value. Normally people don't buy online. People want to go to the project, see by their eyes, experience the environment and everything else of the project. Now with the development of technology, some of the big developers have been able to do so. And we believe in the near future, Vietnam will be there. We're catching up. I used to work in Australia for a while, and the technology there is much more developed. So developers there have been able to approach the end users more specifically and very effectively. So we will be there probably in the next 3 to 5 years. And companies like WeLand, we are very proud to be the pioneers in terms of creating the encouragement and also the case study for other people to build based on our platform.
Mr. Hung, I think you should also get on social media. You'll definitely be connecting more developers with more end buyers. See if you might want to explore that. Okay, inspired by lovely Tammy here. Now, just one more round of questions. We can't skip this one, because the theme of this year's gathering is very much focused on light, and we mentioned it yesterday. We've talked about incorporating natural elements, natural light, okay? And so I wanted to know what AIA is doing, what elements you're using in terms of light in your work.
Right, so in Myanmar, when it comes to AI offices, we have a very specific type of brand identity. So we first established our headquarters in 2019. Mm-hmm. And when you enter our office, you can actually see a grasp of an industrial concept. and you'll be seeing like mirror finishes, and you'll be seeing a lot of stainless steel, which is done on columns, which is done on walls, which is on the ceiling as well. And our office, usually the way that it's set up, right? So the sunlight will come into the facade, and then to the meeting rooms, which are all made of glass, by the way, not the typical cement board partitions. And then it's gonna hit the columns, and that's where you actually see reflection, right? So reflection is basically a symbol. It kind of symbolizes a self-reflection, and it's also symbolize future planning, right? So it's actually quite similar to what life insurance is, and just to plan ahead and for your for security, right? And even for the award that we won yesterday, you can actually see that we have a centerpiece which is like designed for light. So you'll be having a big moon ball, which is for Tangji office. So Tangji have a very, very interesting story, right? So in Myanmar, Tangji is a region where people have a festival every year. It's called, I think, Tatenja in Burmese. And it's basically a festival in which people would gather with their hand-built hot air balloons, and they would just put it in the night skies, and it just lit up the sky at night. So it's really, really in the culture itself. And then we actually design the space as much as we can with light, reflection, and that's also one of the factors why AIE is like recently certified as the Great Place to Work, and we have won the Best Employer Award for 2 consecutive years.
Wow. Yeah. Impressive, congrats on that. Many more awards to come, I believe. Let's see. Now, in terms of light, if you joined us yesterday for the panel discussions, we know how important it is. It's not to be overlooked. Now, I learned that if you get the lighting right, you're going to increase productivity by 40%. So don't overlook lighting. All right, Tammy, what's exciting you most? Forward looking to the future?
It's interesting time ahead for us in China because the local market is under a lot of challenges. And I strongly believe that it was like a saturated market, but with a saturated group of industry players. Now we have a reduced market, but what are these people going to do? So only the good will survive, and it's a challenge to be the CEO to say, are you the survivor? Are you going to leave the industry?
Short and sweet there. Jenny, you have the final word for this panel discussion. They've all talked about the market trends in their respective countries. I want you to tell us and wrap things up by telling us what you foresee in terms of future trends.
Difficult to say based on how many different countries that we do work with, but I would generalise a few that we've kind of seen, particularly over the last 12 months, 24 months. From within LeadingRE, we also have something called the Solutions Group, which is a collection of prop tech experts from all over the world, and they provide services also to our members. The developments within the AI industry and how that will be implemented into real estate are phenomenal. Last year in our global symposium in Dubai, the president of the global operations for LeadingRE conducted a 20-minute live consultation with a chat bot, like a video conversation. And it was just exactly the same as like talking to a person, a real person. It was absolutely amazing. So I think we'll see a lot more development of AI rapidly within the real estate industry. We see a lot of popularity, growing popularity of branded residences. They're everywhere. We have a number of branded residences within our development program, Destinations by LeadingRE. And I think generally buyers are feeling more comfortable and happy to pay a premium in order to guarantee the quality and the amenities and features that branded residences tend to bring. Our member in Alunda Hills in Crete, the development there, has just announced that they branded with Ralph Lauren, which is super exciting for us. The third, I've got 2 more trends to share and then I'll hand the microphone back. I would say the third trend that I'm seeing is luxury is changing. The definition of luxury is changing. No longer it's, you know, huge fancy villas with chandeliers, although in this room it's quite the traditional luxury. You know, we notice now that the meaning of luxury is very much subject to the person, to the individual. Now since the pandemic, lots of open space or privacy can mean luxury to somebody. Sustainability, having a home that's economically and environmentally friendly can mean luxury. It can mean many different things to many different buyers, and in order to perform well as a luxury real estate agent and position yourself in that market, you really have to understand the buyer. We spend a lot of time within our luxury portfolio program conducting studies. It's purely aimed at the high net worth buyer, so we know them inside out, and we pass that information on to our members to ensure that they're at the top of their game and really taking the time to understand their clients' needs. And finally, I would say, the trend, if we can call it a trend, or something that I think we see a lot, will change a lot and become a lot more commonplace within business practices of real estate around the world, is collaboration. I think, of course, because LeadingRE began in the US, in Chicago 60 years ago, in the US, sharing referrals is commonplace. It's second nature to them. There's buyers' representatives and sellers' representatives, and that's kind of just how it works. In the rest of the world, it's not so comfortable for some companies to share business, but it is the future. You know, we have, as I said, we share over 19,000 referrals a year. We see a 70% closing rate. That's cross-border, that's intra-country density, that's throughout. But we do see that people are becoming more comfortable and understanding that it's better to share a sale than to lose it completely. And also it can protect your business. You know, we had a member in Germany who recently won our awards, internal awards, for the most outbound referrals through the referral network that we have. And he when the market shifted in Germany and he didn't have inbound buyers, he didn't have domestic buyers as such, he'd already started to work a lot with LeadingRE in generating his outbound business, understanding other markets. And when the German buyers started to buy out of Germany, he was in a prime position to offer that service. Had he not put himself in that position when the market changed, his business might be in a very different position today. So we see a lot of collaboration, global collaboration, cross-referral traffic, and we see that continuing. So I think that's something that's becoming a lot more comfortable for the rest of the world.
Thank you very much, Jenny, for your insight there, and thank you, Seth, Mr. Hung, and also Tammy. A big round of applause, please, ladies and gentlemen.